Welcome. Today we're diving into something called the X-Forest system. It's a totally new way of thinking about how we regrow forests, especially on land that's been really damaged. And the secret to how it works, well, it's literally out of this world.
So, you'd probably think that a revolutionary idea for growing trees would come from, a forest, right? But nope. The core idea for this tech was actually developed for the empty, harsh vacuum of space, for something as wild as a space elevator. So, how on earth do you get from a massive space elevator all the way down to a tiny little sapling? Well, it's all about taking technology that was built for one extreme environment and figuring out how to use it to solve problems in another.
And this is where the connection gets really mind-blowing. The original concept was called the Open Space Elevator Cable, or OSEC. It was this gigantic kilometer-long ribbon that had to be incredibly tough and, crucially, repairable out there in space. The X-Force team took that exact same principle, modular, tough, and fixable, and just shrunk it way, way down into what they called the growth spine ribbon, or GSR. They brought space-grade thinking down to Earth to help one single tree survive.
So, what exactly is this growth spine ribbon? You can think of it as a sapling's personal bodyguard and life support system all in one. It acts as a shield to cut down on wind stress, it's a funnel that collects morning dew and sends it right down to the roots, and it's a backbone for all sorts of low-cost sensors. It really is the heart of the whole system. But why? Why go to all this trouble? Why do we need to bring space-age tech down to the forest floor? Well, it's because we have a massive, massive problem just keeping young trees alive, especially in the places that need forests the most. The main goal for X-Forest is to jack up the survival rate of saplings by 15 to 30%, and to do it in just the first 90 days. Now, think about what that number means. It tells you just how brutal the world is for a young tree, and just how often our traditional planting efforts can, well, fail. For a tiny sapling, it's a constant battle on all fronts. There's often not enough water, it's getting battered by wind, the soil it's planted in is usually terrible and lacks nutrients, and on top of all that, the traditional ways we try to help them are often super expensive and take a ton of manual labor. X-Forest was designed to fight all of these enemies at the same time.
So how does it actually fight that battle? It does it with a really clever high-tech toolkit. See, the growth spine ribbon is amazing, but it doesn't work alone. It's part of this whole integrated system where every single piece has a critical job to do. First up, you have the dew harvesters. This is just brilliant. These panels have a special skin that basically beams heat out into the cold night sky. This makes the panel get colder than the air around it. And what happens when you have a cold surface on a humid day? You get condensation. Just like a cold can of soda on a summer afternoon, these panels start pulling fresh water right out of thin air. It's a totally passive way to create a water source where there was none before.
Okay, then below the surface, you've got the root mesh. This is like the underground command center. It's a stake that's packed with sensors, and it's constantly checking things like soil moisture and nutrient levels. The moment it detects that the little sapling is thirsty or hungry, a tiny microvalve opens up and delivers a perfect, precise dose of exactly what it needs, right when it needs it. It's like automated precision healthcare for a tree.
And that brings us right back to the growth spine itself, because it's the piece that ties everything together. While those big dew harvester panels are watering the general area, the ribbon itself is also collecting its own dew. Its surface has these tiny microribs that funnel every single drop down to the base of the plant, right where that root mesh is waiting to manage it. It is a complete, self-contained life support system for a sapling.
But look, having fantastic hardware is only half the story. To really make this work, X-Force combines all this amazing tech with a really strict scientific framework. You could call it a biological recipe for success. They call it the GMW triad. G is for genetics, which means only using seeds from local trees that are already genetically adapted to survive in those tough conditions. M is for microbiome. This means giving the seed a head start by adding beneficial local microbes right into the soil. And W is for water. That's the high-tech dew harvesting system we just talked about. So you see, it's a holistic approach, mixing the best of nature with the best of technology. So let's just trace that water's journey one more time, because it's so elegant. First, it's collected from the air by two different sources. Then it's channeled right down to the base of the plant. Third, the underground sensors figure out exactly what the plant needs at that very moment. And finally, the microvalve delivers that perfect dose. It's just an incredibly smart and efficient cycle.
And this project isn't just about cool theories, it is driven by hard, measurable data. These are the specific, concrete goals for the critical first 90 days of a sapling's life: a big boost in survival, a measurable increase in height, and a real reduction in that destructive wind sway that can snap a young tree. Everything is tracked, everything is measured.
This is already a phenomenal leap forward, but the vision for where this technology could go, it doesn't stop here. The source material also looks ahead to what could be possible next.
So what if you could not only make sure a sapling survives, but what if you could actually speed up its growth? What if you could help it establish itself twice as fast? This is the next frontier that the research is looking at. The concept has this cool sci-fi name, photonic augmentation. The idea is to embed an optical fiber directly into the growth spine. This fiber would act like a personal grow light for the sapling, delivering the perfect wavelengths of red and blue light at critical times, say on an overcast day or just at dusk, to give photosynthesis a little extra juice. Now, it's a research concept for now, but it just shows you the sheer ambition behind this platform.
You know, it all comes down to this really powerful idea that sometimes the solutions to our most urgent problems right here on Earth might just be found by looking up and adapting the very technology we first designed for the stars. It's an amazing reminder that with a bit of creative thinking, the sky isn't the limit. It might just be the beginning.